In terms of disinformation impact in radicalization, it cannot be ignored. You know, there are people who just want to watch the world burn.
There's a huge need for us, practitioners and the general public, to recognize the impact of disinformation, misinformation and conspiracy narratives on our societies. I've come to Lithuania to meet with an organization who's on the front line of researching and training in this vital area. As a former Soviet republic that shares a border with Russia, Lithuania is in a very unique and pressurized situation. Disinformation from various neighboring states has had a huge impact on the ground here. Viktoras Dauksas is head of DebunkEU.org, an organization that researches disinformation. I caught up with him and asked him why there was a need for an organization like Debunk.
Well, we are coming from Baltic states, and having disinformation used against the Baltic states for almost 100 years and dealing with that. And I think the social media kind of changed the world and allowed to amplify disinformation stories at a way next level that we never seen before.
So what are your major topics you're facing in terms of disinformation?
Our work becomes most important in the times of crisis. And Ukraine war is the third crisis that we are working on. So first was the COVID pandemic start. Last year we had manufactured migration crisis. That was a hybrid attack run by Lukashenko's regime. This year, really unexpectedly, the Russian invasion to Ukraine. This is the biggest crisis so far for us that we are working on. It's just huge. Content-wise, we never seen that much communication.
Viktoras works with a tight team of researchers, project managers, analysts and academics who are constantly monitoring a stream of disinformation.
It was interesting to me that they shared the video. It's clearly just a fake profile.
Another account suddenly starts to publish videos with conspiracies, so they use cats and dogs to grow the accounts and then they start to amplify disinformation.
Because of technology, I feel like it's all becomes faster to produce, faster to disseminate. The volume also increases so much. Again, that's also the challenge of analyzing it, because the volume is insane. And technology also made it cheap to produce. It's really cheap to produce.
It's interesting that there's the same pattern across Europe with far right-wing parties or activists trying to use disinformation to achieve their goals, either to promote themselves, either to increase more response from society. But that is kind of basically a bad thing, because they polarize the society, and that basically doesn't help.
Every state in the world has this fracture of its population, of its society, which is sort of marginalized, and this is where the disinformation plays. These parts of society which feel like they are marginalized, or which are actually marginalized, they are way more vulnerable to disinformation. There are situations where people who are prone to radicalization, they might be pushed by a foreign state. They might be sought out by the foreign state, they might be recruited, they give them money, and with the phrase, go do your absolute worst. In Lithuania, the main targets are people who might feel like they are failed by the system, those who don't earn as much money or they don't have as many opportunities, people who live by Soviet nostalgia, who think that their past life was way better than it is now.
Educating practitioners and the public in media literacy is a huge part of Debunk's remit.
So we do different campaigns. Some, like Bad News Game, we ran a digital campaign. We were able to reach 118,000 people who have played the game in the Baltic states.
Educational outreach is central to what Debunk does. I joined Viktoras as he traveled to deliver a training session.
We're heading to a small Lithuanian city, and we will do trainings to Lithuanian teachers about disinformation, propaganda, and hybrid warfare.
So how important is it to talk about these topics? How important is media literacy for these audiences?
Right now, it's of extreme importance because of the context of the wartime. Everything is more sensitive, and people are eager to learn more. The target of the day is to train the trainers, which means that we want to teach the teachers so they could educate the children who will come to schools, and also if they get challenged, so they would have enough information to respond to that.
Gera jūs čia matyti. Šiandieną pradėsime mokymus apie dezinformaciją, propagandą ir hibridinį karą. Gerai, viskas, startuojam.
Ir nepamiršti tokių dalykų kaip žmogaus teisės.
This session was focused on disinformation at a state level.
So the game brings the two sides together so they could learn how these disinformation stories are delivered.
Taigi jūs, prie jūsų sienos visą tai vyksta, teisų gynėjai.
You become the troll, so you have to spread disinformation in the game.
Gal tikriausiai tai nemeluoja?
Multiple different elements work together.
From where I was sitting, despite the language difficulties, the training looked lively, hands-on and effective.
Ačiū už aktyvų dalyvavimą ir gerą vakarą. I really liked that it was interactive and the teachers were really active and participating, and they were like all into it. So that was, I think, really good.
Iš tikrųjų, tai tikrai, patiko viskas, dėl to, kad buvo labai daug informacijos, bet jinai buvo labai gražiai sustruktūruota ir buvo daug ko galima pasimokyti, buvo įdomu ir laikas praėjo labai greitai.
The useful thing with the trainings is that they can bring out the facts. They can bring out more schemes, the disinformation narratives used by the regime, the disinformation cases examples.
It's a standard practice for people to learn how to count in school, you know? It's standard practice to learn how to read. So why isn't it, especially as we're talking about the developing technology and it's developing so fast, why don't we teach the kids how to use it properly?
It's been fascinating coming here and to experience this training with Victoras and its team. But it's also been sobering. Although the situation is heightened here in Lithuania for sure, this is something we need to recognize all over Europe. Mis and disinformation has become part of our day-to-day lives. And it's up to all of us to recognize it and to counter it.